Welcome to our daily Forex range bar chart market analysis. My name is Derek Schimming, and this review is for Tuesday, April the 16th. Now, starting as always with our currency strength view, it's interesting to see that today is almost the exact reversal of what we saw yesterday. You can see this initially looking at the currency strength chart, and I'll go ahead and take out the New Zealand and the CAD as we normally do to just kind of clean up the chart a little bit and focus on the pairs that we're really looking at on a daily basis. And you can see that we have the yen most predominantly to the downside here in blue, and the dollar slow to get going, but ultimately the dollar is the mover during the New York session. We'll take a look at that. And then to the upside we have the other four, the Aussie, the pound, the euro, and the Swiss in orange, pink, red, and white. Now, yesterday the decliners, the two biggest movers to the downside, were the pound and the Aussie. I think the Aussie was more so than the pound. Today, even though we're seeing a reversal of that, that would be those are the stronger ones, obviously. But of those four, the strongest two have in fact been the euro. Look at the consistency of the euro moving higher, again in red, and the Swiss following the euro for obvious reasons, and also outpacing the other two to the upside. Now today, we've talked about this and the fact that we're seeing kind of normal, what I call normal behavior in the tail end of the Tokyo markets going into London. If we look at the London Open right around in here on this chart, and I've got 0 marked with the predominant horizontal line here, but we can see that the yen started moving down during the Asian time frame. We get some activity right here at the close and nearing the close of the Tokyo market, and the opening of the London session really saw the yen take a dive to the downside. You can see the dollar held fairly stable, even though it was on a decline. It didn't move the same degree that the yen did. And typically what we're now seeing the pattern of that I've been discussing with you and pointing out is the fact that the activity during the New York time frame is either right at the open, obviously based on major news pieces, but really we're seeing it right at the open on most days, and or late in the session, closer maybe an hour or 2 hours before the London markets close. We're seeing a much more feverish activity. You can see this today. Look at, here is the New York Open somewhere in this range. You can see that the yen was still moving to the downside coming into the New York marketplace, but you can see that the dollar around the U.S. Open was actually rather flat. So was the Aussie, so was the pound slightly up. The euro and the Swiss were again the ones moving. London Open they were moving, New York Open they were moving, Tokyo and Aussie Opens they were moving to the upside. They have been the most consistent. But look here in the late stages. You can see where the dollar really started moving down, accelerating to the downside, the biggest mover to the downside in this segment. And you can see at the same time that the euro and the Swiss were both accelerating, even the pound. So late in the day, again, we've had an opportunity. Yesterday it was trading the yen pair short. Today it's been looking at the euro dollar and the pound dollar long and or the dollar Swiss short. Of those, I would definitely suggest the euro dollar. It's had the cleanest chart. And let's take a look at this a little bit more detail. Let's look at the dollar index first. Now, we've modified the dollar index, and I've told you that we have a weighting that is more representative of modern day currency flows, and so we've got what we feel properly weighted. Plus, we made it more sensitive to price movement, more of a trading tool, because that's what it's designed for, to work with traders so they can get a better handle of the marketplace. And if we look at this and you look at the dollar on the day, you can see that late stage move down. Overall, you can see the highs were getting predominantly lower. And consistently look at the low range here, and obviously we moved to a new low range. If we put some trend lines on there, you could clearly see that. Should be able to. But it's this precipitous drop in the late stages of the New York time frame that I think is the most interesting to see. Now, those of you who look at time-based charts, the reason that looking at the consistent view of tracking currency pairs and instruments in specific price ranges has a superior benefit in the fact that the chart becomes more consistent. Your tools, your indicators, your oscillators, it reduces some of the lag and also improves the performance of all your technical studies. When you look at this on a time-based chart, you can see that same massive massive move in the tail end of the market day, and we do look at this from time to time. Want to see what the herd is basically seeing and how they might be reacting to it. We know they're going to come in a little bit behind the signals that we typically would see, but you can see that that move down in the dollar was really centered in less than an hour's time frame. You look at this as a 10-minute chart. We have five red bars, predominant red bars, moving down these late stages. You could say it started building, going towards the downside earlier than that, a little over an hour in that time frame. But you can see that it definitely was a fairly fast move to see that type of drop in less than 60 minutes time in this day and age, especially in the dollar, without any news specifically coming at that time of day. So to break that down and see the disassembling of all the movement in the dollar day, we had a pretty sharp move earlier in the session. You can really see it was a much more active day for the dollar than we have seen in the recent few weeks. Now, the pairs that this is still benefited. Obviously, the euro dollar. This has probably been the best day for trading the euro dollar. I don't really even look at it so much. I keep it on the screen, and I would say it's there, but to actually say that I'm looking at it is probably not true. Glancing at it but not really focusing on it as a pair. Was not prepared to trade this, although I did make a short trade in euro dollar yesterday. But you can see that it made this very nice base move coming through rollover, got itself over the pivot, pulled back. It does set a slightly higher low, and you can see that the oscillator is actually responding to that. But this late stage move, after it had moved up on the day, pulled back at the start of the London market, or the New York time frame, it really pulled back and started consolidating just below R2, and once it took out this high, it got above the 3150 range, which has been critical here recently. On this bar and beyond, there really was a late day trade long in the euro dollar that some traders surely took advantage of. If you look at some of the yen pairs, I still say that the pairs worth being focused on, really focusing your attention and most of your time on, is going to be euro yen, pound yen, Swiss yen, and Aussie yen in that order. Aussie yen in the last week, I would say, definitely over the last few days, but over the last week we've seen a lot better activity out of the Aussie. It wasn't on my list not that many weeks ago, not even 2-3 weeks ago. I wasn't really looking at the Aussie pairs either, but you've got to respect the fact that the Aussie itself is in play again and taking advantage of that pair, because when it trades well, and when it's trading with volume and volatility, it trades well and much more smooth and consistent than some of the other pairs, and I think you can have a really good time of it. Looking at the biggest movers on the day, of course, it's going to be the euro yen and the pound yen. You can see both of these studies side by side. Nice strong moves on the day, but again, lost a lot of the momentum once we got into the New York time frame. So this pair really played out during the London markets, and so we can see where it had already moved up coming into London from rollover, kept reversing off after making that massive move to the downside yesterday. Then we see that the pair, what looked like was a pullback and a little bit of a retracement, just kept going and kept going and kept going. Here's the two-stage move in yesterday in the euro yen. Here, when it broke down of the support level that it initially set, and then the continuation late into the day that it brought down tremendously. We had a great day yesterday, but to see how many pips ultimately we left on the table is almost sickening. But a positive day, making more pips on the day yesterday than we had made the previous week. So you can't complain about the day itself, but then you look at the market, how far each pair went, and it really is shocking. You're not expecting such big moves, especially not late in the day in the pair. So it started reversing after rollover, especially when it was right in here. I think, well, this is healthy. If it starts moving down from this level, if it could have taken out this low right here, breaking below 126, it would have been a great opportunity to short the pair. Didn't go, went up even higher, and as we just get into the start of the London day, it consolidates above the pivot and makes that beautiful, nice long move. So this was long in the euro yen, the pound yen, and the Swiss yen. The Swiss yen was also a great pair today. Being long any of those three, moving above the pivot to breaking, or even just trading at 2 R1 was the best opportunity on the day. But look again, look how it consolidated after the London or the New York Open and really has gone flat on the balance of the day. Again, it was the dollar that made the late market move during the U.S. market time frame, and it was the euro dollar, the pound dollar, even the dollar Swiss on a shorting basis that were the opportunities today. That's why you need to have a variety of pairs that are on your short list. The short list is the pairs that you are looking at that you are going to be reviewing on a daily basis. Then your focus list on that day is going to be the pairs that are actually in play. The Aussie dollar, and Aussie yen has always been on the short list, but not necessarily on the focus list. Now we're bringing the Aussie yen into the focus because it's in play right now. Could that be a matter of days or weeks? I don't know, but that's why we're going to adjust where we're focused on the day. The currency strength chart, the chart that I start with on a daily basis, that's the best way to get a gauge of where I need to be. It should be the first thing that it should be the first thing you're looking at. You need to gain access to it. Should be the first thing that you're looking at, and ultimately in your peripheral vision all day. That's how I know where the extremes are in the market. That's how we know how to take the 5, 6, 7, 8 pairs that we might want to look at and reducing it down to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 maybe that we're focused on the day. And then we're really drawing our attention in line with where the market activity is and in focus on where we need to be so that we can be concentrated and make better decisions. You can do this too. Come and spend a couple weeks with us. Come into our room and trade with us. It's not to say that we're buying the bottoms and selling the tops. It's not the case. I'm telling you, we leave pips on the table. It's a process of learning more and becoming more consistent and learning how to identify trades better. And ultimately, I'd like to say it would be trading less hours and making better decisions, making probably less hours and less trades and seeing a better net result for your activity. Right now, with these late hours coming into the New York time frame, unfortunately it requires that someone adjust their behavior and time frame, or in fact extend their time frames, which I hate to say, but that's just how the market is being. We need to be able to adjust with what the market's providing. If you want to learn more about this, if you have some questions, want some additional information, just send us an email at info@fxrbc.com, forexrangebarcharts.com. That again is info@fxrbc.com. I look forward to seeing you on the floor and look forward to fielding your questions and getting back with you. My name is Derek Schimming with Forex Range Bar Charts. As always and every day, have a great day trading. Thank you.